Hey, home group leaders, how you doing? It is week 5 of our series, Under the Hood. And that means that we are going through the halfway point. And I just can't believe that time is flying that fast, that we're already halfway through this. And boy, have I heard some great stories and received some great feedback from you guys about what's going on in your home group. I am aware, though, in fact, I was just reading this week, and it occurred to me how this really affected us, is in the book of Nehemiah, the story is told of the children of Israel rebuilding the wall in like 56 days. And what we read there is that halfway through, the people got discouraged. And so Nehemiah went around the wall and encouraged people, reminded them of the why, reminded them of the how, and just sort of gave them a little pep talk. And out of that comes a leadership principle called the Nehemiah principle. And the Nehemiah principle is this: right around every 28 days, people need to be reminded of what the vision is, what the purpose is, why we're doing what we're doing, and they need a pat on the back or a kick. Well, anyway, a pat on the back. And so I want to just come alongside you and say, as you look at your roster, as you look at the people who are coming to your class, I want to encourage you to see if there's someone who's being maybe they're a little bit discouraged, maybe they're down a little bit, maybe they're falling away a little bit, to just remind them, hey, this is something we're doing so that we can grow together, so that we can know the church better, but so we know each other better, and just really encourage and thank and all those types of things the people that are in your home group. This week, we are looking at diligent service. And I just want to tell you a little bit of the story behind that core value, because it is really unique that we have the words we value sweat in our core values statement. I know of no other church that has that statement. And in fact, it could be misinterpreted. But basically, 12 years ago, when we went through this process called refocusing, and we looked at the history of the church, what we discovered is that when we physically worked together, especially when we built things, we always grew closer to each other, we grew closer to the Lord, and we grew in numbers. And so the building of the parsonage is a great example of that, where the small group built that parsonage, people joined in, and our congregation grew in every way that summer as we built that parsonage. And we look back at like the fact that most of the church is built by us. The one part of the church was moved there, but even the moving of it was done by us. The building of the old fellowship hall was done by us. And what we saw is that in our church, we really value physical labor. And so the thought behind this diligent service core value is that we as a church give special emphasis, or at least balanced emphasis, to the giftedness of people and the work of people who aren't necessarily in what we would call ministry positions. Things like preachers, teachers, worship pastors, youth leaders, those types of things, we value them. We value people who do that, but truthfully, we value the person who swings a hammer just as much. Just two more things I want to run by you as you prepare for home group this week. I want you to express from me, if you have opportunity, if it comes up, that the reason that we share this core value of diligent service is not to get everybody on board with serving in the church so that we can somehow break this 80-20 principle that I talk about in your group questions. My goal in sharing this is not to fill ministry positions, but here's what we believe. For people to grow, they need to find their place of service. And so this is about them. It is about their spiritual growth. If you go back to last week and if you look at what we said about what it takes to grow, one of the things that we talked about when we looked at discipleship, I guess that was 2 weeks ago, was that diligent service or regular service in the kingdom of God helps people to grow. So I want people to understand that we aren't just simply trying to get nursery workers, but we want every person to understand that God has gifted them. And if need be, turn over to Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 through 10, and just read that to your group, where we'll discover that works don't save us, but we're saved to work. And just let people know that that's the heart of it. The last thing that I want to share with you is that I've asked Pastor Mark to include in our resources for this week a link to a spiritual gifts test. In fact, this link does more than just spiritual gifts. It does what is your heart, what are your abilities, what are your passions, what are your experiences. Now, to go through that whole packet will probably take 2 or 3 hours if someone were to do it like in a group setting. But I want you to take a look at it. It might be something you want to consider for your group. Maybe even put it on hold and do it, sometime after this series is over, and see what each person's gifts, what their abilities, what their heart, what their personalities are like, their experiences, and then see how those things sort of shape them and sort of direct them towards some area of service. So I'm going to include that link, and I encourage you to take a look at it. So again, home group leaders, know that I love you. I thank you for what you're doing for us. And week 5 is going to fly by. And next week, we'll be back at it again with External Focus. So, hey, we'll see you guys later. Have an awesome week. Know that I'm praying for you.